About 5 or 6 years ago, I woke up one day and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't lift my head, and so I had to get my housemate to call a friend, and they both lifted me and put me on the floor, and I just couldn't move, and I was in excruciating pain in my neck, and I couldn't get to go and see anybody. I had to wait a few days, and in the end it turned out to be about 3 months that I was on the floor. I had to have food brought to me and all that kind of stuff. And eventually I went and saw somebody about it, and they did scans, and they found out that what I had was called a spinal canal stenosis. And so that's where a part of your spinal cord, and for me it was in the neck, is narrowing like this, and it's pressing up against your central spinal cord. And at the time the physician told me that at best you manage it, and with therapies and things like that and painkillers, you can get, and I started to get as well, like referred pain down your arms and down your legs and all that kind of stuff. And at worst it ends up in paralysis or death, which was, not what you wanted to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And at the time I was a full-time dancer. So, there was no way that I could go back to dancing. I had to start everything all over again. It was extremely depressing. And so not only did I end up spending all that time on the floor, and I couldn't do what I'm used to doing, I couldn't exercise, and I've always been really physical. And so I ended up really depressed, overweight. It was awful. That it got a little bit better with some therapies here and there, and that I could move and I could get up and I could have a life, but I would often be in pain. And actually most days throughout the day I would have to go and lay down for a bit just to take the pressure off my neck because the pain would get too much. I went to my first week long, I think it was October, in the Sunshine Coast, and I'd kind of found Dr. Joe's work not that long before. I'd read his book. I didn't want to read his book because I thought he was going to be really weird, but I finally read it, and then I thought, why have I been waiting? And I went straight away as quick as I could to a week long, and I had a Coherence Healing there, and the Coherence Healing was amazing. It was so beautiful. I had experienced my body filling up with light, and he talks about some people, their head and their toes. That was me. Like I was up in the air, and this god-awful sound came out of me like a freaking donkey. Like it was and I could hear it, and then I realised it was me. It was awful, weird, and I'd often judged other people for doing that, and I stopped doing that day. Anyway, and the really amazing thing is that when I came out of the Coherence Healing, I wasn't even thinking about my neck. I just felt so much love and so beautiful and so much like a child that I remembered, I'd always been a really free spirit, and I was always really exuberant, just full of life and really innocent and happy. And in the last little bit, like the last 6 years or something, I just became, that just had went away anyway, and it was just back. I just felt like, I was a new person, and it felt amazing. So I wasn't even thinking about my neck, and eventually I went back home and I didn't think about it or anything. And then I went back and did another week long. And then after that, when I came home, I started to get pain again. And so I started to think about my neck and what was going on. And so I was meditating every day already, but I decided to focus on my neck. I thought it was healed, maybe it's not, and then those thoughts came in. But so I started to focus my meditations on being healed. And the one that I mainly did, I did lots of different ones, but the one that I did every single day was tuning into new potentials, and I would just experience myself as a completely healthy person. And my greatest inspiration was my son, because he's only 3 and I wanted him to have a really healthy mum. And so I would see myself with him, and actually, when I knew that it was okay, I had this meditation, and for the first time, and I wasn't trying to see this, I just saw myself and felt myself with my son when I was older and he was older. So I'd been, there was a part of me that thought I wasn't going to get to see that. That after that meditation, I knew that it was better. I went and got a scan and it was better. It was gone. There's no evidence of it being there. And it's funny because I didn't think of it as much of a big deal. I just didn't, I guess because it was done or something, I don't know. And when I told a few people about it, they said that that's a deal. So I should share that with people. And my life has just changed since then. I mean, I've been exercising again and dancing again, and so I'm happy again, and I'm myself again, and I feel like I've come back to that free person again as well. So it's amazing.